Well, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Rise and Shine. I am Alissa, the consultress, your hostess with the mostest, here with my dear friend, Janet Roessler, here to teach us about a few things that she's learned on her journey and share in our conversational style format what it is that drives her and what's top of mind. So this Rise and Shine here is brought to you by the unprecedented times. We're here to share our wisdom from the journey. Literally, Janet's sharing from the road today. And I'm happy to have you here. Janet and I have been connected through our work as certified human potential trainers. And Janet is just, she's been an accountability partner, a mentor, and support system for me. So Janet, thank you so much for being here today. Give us a little bit about you and your work, and then we'll dive into our conversation about balance.
Thank you, Alissa. I was just about to say, and back at you for all of those things that you say that I am to you, you are to me as well, which I very, very much appreciate. And my name, again, is Janet Roessler, and my company name is Inner Voices Outer Vision. And my goal is to work with each of us to move to and towards our highest potential, utilizing some of those inner voices, which can be positive, can be more destructive, and find ways to build dialogues using art making and other techniques to move us forward in wherever it is that we want to go, whether it's our own transformation, whether it's our own, business goals or personal goals, whatever they are.
Well, so cheers to that.
So glad to be here. Yes.
Yeah, right on. It's like having conversations with a friend. We're just literally opening up the conversation we'd be having anyway, and just letting other people kind of benefit from how we flow and what we're up to. Janet, I love that you use art as an expression, because I always tell people, I'm in the buttoned up world of investments and real estate and finance, but I love to make it fun. So for me, I put the fun in funding, and I tell people my creativity is bringing that fun alive, allowing people to experience joy in places where it seems kind of just stuck or stodgy. And for me, I always told people, I can forget the paints. I don't know if I can paint. I can kind of draw, but I used to tell people I could build you a castle with paper clips and staples. just let me get at the organization of like the structuring of your finances. It's what tickled me. It's where my creative joy flows out from. And so I love that you help people to kind of see that through that lens of creativity, how to express some of the things that are nonverbal. Now, I don't know if am I on or am I off? Does that kind of speak to some of the work that you do?
Well, what I love about what I do is so often, and particularly the most smartest analytical people tend to live up here, and they really don't know how to build a relationship with their heart or their gut. And so part of what art making does is it does a short circuit. It's like a back road in to some of these places. So oftentimes I'll do some art making process. I just did a soul collage in combination with working on passion and purpose with a colleague of mine, Suzanne Alawa. And it was so amazing. We did all these meditations to begin with about purpose and passion. And then as we worked into the soul collage piece, which is basically creating intuitive collages on a little specific sized card, the images that came out and then people's analysis, they were all like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, da, 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 da. And it ends up being, you're really literally creating, and through all these different things, and you don't have to know how to paint, and you don't have to know how to draw. Oftentimes, those are the people who get to the depth even that much faster. So.
Well, amen,
and listen, I just want to say your creativity leads front and center 99.99% of the
time. I love that. And I receive that. Yes, I embody that remark. How often in life do we have to learn how to say thank you? Yes, it's true. So with that said, we usually here in Rise and Shine, we pick a word or a theme, something to vibe on, something to riff on. And I think, Janet, in our discussions just prior to this call, we had balance on the menu. Now, when I think balance, I think the judicial scales, right? That, putting just enough on each of the plates to make sure that they hang in the balance. And oftentimes what I experience when I'm trying to describe balance is almost the antithesis of balance. It's like being fully present, fully immersed, almost like throwing caution to the wind and staying fully present in one area, so that when the time comes and I have, let's just say this piece was work, I have personal, I can be fully immersed and 100% focused there. And to me, it doesn't look like balancing scales. It looks like all on one, then all on the other. So what does balance look like for you? Can you tell us a little bit about your definition of balance and how that shows up for you?
Absolutely. Great question. I was thinking about this as we were thinking about, talking about this. The idea of it being a balance between two, some in here and some in there is so binary to me. I go to what I often call the pizza of life. Through the Canfield training and many other trainings, they call it the wheel of life, but I think pizza of life is much funnier. And talking about the idea that every time you do it, and what you do is you set the levels in your life to where these different areas, career, relationships, finance, etc., fun is the one I always leave off. Isn't that sad? Anyway, but the idea that it's more like a spinning kaleidoscope, maybe, where you've got these bits, and really the balance point is just periodically checking in to notice where you are in all these areas, and notice, because we do have sort of defaults that we go to. So to make sure that your default isn't running the show, to make sure that one of those inner voices isn't running the show for you. So you're able to say, oh, okay, so this month I've been really focused on the career path or the family path, or I was sharing with you, I've been doing a lot of caregiving this past couple of weeks. But to say, okay, so I'm doing that, so I know that I need to then go over here, and this piece that's been completely neglected, I definitely need to sprinkle some attention there. So that to me is balance. It's not that it's not a steady state, it's not a static place. It's really not. And I think that anybody who says that, it's really a misnomer that in any one moment you're going to be 100% balanced. If so, God bless you.
That only happens in yoga and for brief periods of time.
Brief periods.
Yeah, I think it's very a point that I want to just like tease out here is that concept of it's permanent and it's static. I think that's a residue left over in this world from industrial age thinking, because we went from an agrarian society to an industrial society, and we no longer were rising with the sun and, living according to the nature cycles of the seasons. Now it was, bright lights overhead, sit down at your station, screw the screw, and be done with it. Right. Don't ask any questions. Don't be creative. Just sit there and do your job. And that static nature of being was necessary for the development of the production and assembly line. It was necessary for certain ways of production, but not necessarily and doing, right? Like there's 3 states: is being, doing, and having, right? So that being, the doing part started to inform the being over the last, couple hundred years. And that concept of balance, or any real state, happiness, sadness, depression, anxiety, right? The concept of it being permanent and static, I think, is the underlying root cause of some of the distress people feel when they say they don't feel balanced, or when they say they do feel stressed. Stress itself has you have distress, which is the bad kind of stress, so to speak, and then you have eustress. You ever had a deadline to meet and you pulled out of yourself more productivity than you thought was possible?
Yes.
That's a good kind of stress. So when it comes to balancing, I think opening up that inquiry is really important to see, well, how do people define balance? And is it that ultimate, am I going to stay balanced, or am I going to fall over? But I loved what you said about it being prismatic, about it being almost like kaleidoscope, how it's baseline for you is like an ever developing entity, or is ever developing. Oh, I don't have the right word. here on my tongue.
Well, it's a flow, I think. I think that the idea is that it's always going to be in flow. And just one piece I wanted to throw out, you actually started it when you said about being present. Because so much of the time, again, this is the intellect trying to rule everything else. And it's that same thing about being out of sync with your natural cycles that we set up these massive amounts of deadlines and expectations and goals and all these wonderful things that we want to accomplish. And at a certain point in time, other parts of ourself are like, excuse me,
Boom,
and you
boom, boom.
have
Hello.
to, yes, and you have to listen, or at the very least, you need to negotiate with those inner voices to make deals, to allow that inner child the time to go out and play on the swings, or to allow that part of you that wants to sit on the couch and just read a book for a day on the weekend or for a full weekend. All of those things are really important. And what's really interesting about the presence piece is the deeper I get into my work, what I find is that if you can actually stay present in the moment, a la listening to whatever voices are coming, whether they be internal or external, and keep breathing, that you will often find right timing. So sometimes I'm beating myself up over a deadline that I'm expecting that I need to get done, and I do need to get it done. And if I just sort of step back and allow myself to be in the flow with it, I realize that I've been processing the entire time in my head, and that when I sit down to actually do the doing, whether it's create a presentation or plan something, that it just all flows out because I've been processing it. As long as I can stay present, stay out of panic, stay out of the beating myself up voice, all of those pieces, that there's something about that being present which informs whatever your outcome is, with energy and with enthusiasm and with vibrancy.
Yep. I have equations that come to mind now. Awareness plus intention and marination, right? Having the intention for something to become successful is an activity in and of itself. So I would say awareness maybe plus marination. Allowing it to stew, allowing it to just kind of sit with you equals production. It is that upside downing or that inversion of thinking that you always need to be doing to be producing. It kind of breaks down that assumption a little bit, is that having awareness that you want something to happen and allowing it to be something that just kind of ping pongs around up here in the head and here in the heart and somewhere else entirely spiritually perhaps, but that it can occur to you in its own timing, that it doesn't necessarily have to meet our preconceptions of deadlines. Because I have been working on producing masterminds for a decade. For a decade, I have been in some form using this tool, and over the years, it's just started to feel like my skin. I just do it effortlessly, and it's really fun now. However, if I put it in my mind, like I did a few months ago, like I'm going to produce masterminds, that ominous thought right there scared the bejesus out of me. Like, I don't know how to do that, but I do know how to do that. Sometimes this gets us so freaked out that we forget that it's probably been marinating longer than the idea, the thought of us needing to do or produce, and that it can occur in its own timing.
That's such a Western thing, that idea that everything it comes from here. And it's so fascinating to me that now, I mean, we have so many spiritual traditions that tell us otherwise, that the gut has, from your gut, or from your heart. And now we have the scientific backing that says, well, indeed, there are as many neurons surrounding your heart and in your intestine, around your gut, as there are in your brain. Wow. As many connections are being made there as there are here. But we have this Western bias to this. And it's a great tool. But as a psychic friend of mine once put it, I thought he put it so well. He said, this is a wonderful problem-solving tool. But if you don't have a problem, it will invent one. And it will. And then you'll go spinning off in whatever it is.
And that brings us right to our close. If you think that balance is hard, or you think that balance is static, or you think that whatever it is you're up to, even if you've been marinating for your whole lifetime, this will create that problem for you to solve. So, I like to always leave these discussions with some actionable item and some tool that people can use. And maybe it is just literally the notion that our brains are a tool for us to solve problems, and to put that in the right category. Janet, do you have any recommendations for tools or techniques that can help our viewers be more present to balance in their own life?
Honestly, it sounds really simple and really stupid, but it's go for a walk. If you go for a walk, you're out, if you can, sing while you're walking, because you want to do whatever you can to pull you out of that, allow your sensory awareness to kick in. And what can happen is all of a sudden you'll start to get some other inputs besides the gerbil wheel that goes in your head. Is that you got to get off the gerbil wheel. So whatever you can do, whether it's go for a walk, go for a swim, roll around on the floor with your critters, whatever it is,
ride a
you need to
unicycle.
Distract. Yeah. Ride a unicycle. Oh my gosh, can you do that? I'm impressed.
No, I can't, but it's on my bucket list.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Alissa. This has been great fun.
Absolutely. The more conversations I have, the better my life is, and the better it can get from there. So I've had an enormously fun time here with you today. And I recommend anybody here who wants to get in touch with Janet, put a comment in this videos down below and let me know. I will personally connect you. And let me know if you have enjoyed this, if you want to see more of Janet, and I'd be happy to invite her back. This is such fun. We also hang out at least once a week, so catch us some other time if you can. But for now, rise and shine, think differently, leverage the uncommon times of your life to ask more questions about what if this could be different. And so we will see you next time, friends. Same bat channel, maybe a different time. So long for now.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.